Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review of our disappointing 2-1 loss against Manchester City at the Etihad yesterday on New Year's Day. It feels like a Monday, doesn't it? We're back in work after New Year, obviously. Everton played yesterday. It is a game review, so if I do reference today as Monday a couple of times, then I do apologise because it absolutely does feel like a Monday. I just thought I'd throw that out there firstly. It's absolutely nothing to do with the game, nothing to do with Everton, but it just feels like a Monday, doesn't it? Let's be honest. It is Thursday, obviously Friday tomorrow, and then Everton, of course, play Liverpool on Sunday, so we'll have all of the pre-game videos out for that over the weekend, with the preview being tomorrow. But we've got to discuss that game yesterday, haven't we? Quite a disappointing defeat. I think a lot of us felt a defeat that, if we're being perfectly honest, wasn't surprising, considering the team we were coming up against. Manchester City, a very, very good side, of course. Champions, over 190 points over 2 seasons. And yes, they've struggled this season, and I said it in the game preview. We would like them to be a little bit higher up the table than they are at the minute. However, you know, they're still current champions. They're still a very, very good side. And they showed that at times yesterday. I don't think Everton were particularly good. I don't think it was a case of Everton were good and Manchester City were just better. I don't think they outplayed us. I think it was more of a case of that we were poor and they weren't. I wouldn't say they were at their best, but obviously, you know, their level of average is higher than a lot of teams' level of average, including Everton's. And I think yesterday we were quite poor. To quote Carlo Ancelotti at the end of the game, we were shy. And, you know, I put a tweet out after the game and I said it'll be one of the first times that Carlo Ancelotti's witnessed one of his teams play, you know, a champions or play a team at the level of Manchester City with the calibre of players that Manchester City have got, and actually, you know, appear to be shy for the majority of the game. He won't have had that very often in his managerial career, so obviously it's something to work on. I think we were poor overall yesterday for the majority of the game. Our passing just wasn't, you know, on getting forward, trying to break forward. It was almost like we were trying to play through Manchester City, which for me was a little bit of a silly decision, because I think it would have been a lot easier to just get balls over the top and play sort of a long ball approach. You know, we're playing against a side that have got absolutely fantastic footballers in their midfield, absolutely fantastic footballers going forward, so it's probably not the best idea to try and, you know, play through them and try and pass it through them. And I think that was why we had an awful lot of the ball in our defensive area sort of at the start of the game, because we couldn't really break forward and we couldn't get any further. Obviously through the pitch, and, you know, we didn't try that long ball really until the last 10-15 minutes of the game, and that was when it became quite effective. That was when Dominic Calvert-Lewin started to come into the game. That was when we scored you know, the goal, and we actually started to look like we were going to get something out of the game. Obviously it was too late. Like I said, you know, a little bit of a poor performance, maybe one that we haven't been used to seeing in recent weeks, definitely not under Carlo Ancelotti so far, or under Duncan Ferguson. The result isn't that much of a shock, but it is the level of performance that I think shocked a lot of Evertonians yesterday, because we did seem a little bit hesitant, we did seem a little bit shy, and obviously, you know, it wasn't good to see. Obviously, you have got to take into consideration the fact that the lads have played stupid amounts of games in recent weeks. We've played absolutely ridiculous amount of games. You know, lads like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison playing near enough 90 minutes in every one of those games, playing at the highest level as well. So realistically, for the New Year's Day game, it wasn't the best type of fixture you want, do you? You don't want to be playing Manchester City at the Etihad on New Year's Day, because it's just one of them where, you know, you're sitting there thinking you just don't want that, do you? You're playing a team that are absolutely fantastic on New Year's Day, away from home. You know, you don't want it after you've played 2 or 3 other, you know, good quality teams in the previous 2 weeks. I'm just going to tweet to the stream out so everybody knows that we are live. I'm having a little bit of an issue with the computer at the moment. It's absolutely just not showing the live feed whatsoever. In fact, I can't see anything other than my face, so I'm aware that we're still live streaming because I've checked on my phone and it showed it. I may well have to go over to the YouTube app on my phone to get the live comments up, because I don't want to miss any of the comments, of course, if my computer decides to continue to be absolutely stupid for the next sort of 5 or so minutes. I'll give it a minute, and then if not, I'll go over to my phone and try and get it up on my phone, because I really don't know what's going on there, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So yeah, listen, you know, it wasn't the best performance by Everton by all means, by any stretch of the imagination, was it? Let's be perfectly honest. Let me quickly try and get this up so I'm not absolutely blind to what's going on here. I don't want to I don't want to be blind to what's going on, so let me try and get the studio up, shall we say, before we continue on in the live comments. I do apologise about this. Obviously, the stream's live and these things happen, don't they? Let's be perfectly honest, especially when my computer decides to just absolutely give up and not give me any sort of indication that I can't see anything. Bear with me just 2 seconds. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't the best performance, was it? It wasn't ideal. But it's one of those situations where we just sort of have to take it on the chin, really. We were playing a very, very good side, and we were playing a very, very good side away from home. And when you're playing a very good side away from home, it's tough to expect to go out and get a result out of that game. On a positive, I think, just to start with, the third kit is absolutely unbelievable. Obviously, the first time we've seen the third kit in action. It's been out since the summer, and we literally haven't seen it until yesterday, and it was absolutely fantastic. Although the performance wasn't brilliant in it, the kit itself is absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Let's be perfectly honest. And yeah, I think there was a lot of reasons yesterday as to why we struggled. One of them being Bernard, obviously having to come off within literally, was due to start the game, couldn't come on because he suffered an injury with the clash with Yerry Mina in the pre-game warm-up, so that wasn't ideal, of course. And I think from that point, it messed with the game plan a little bit. Carlo Ancelotti obviously had planned to have somebody like Bernard in there who could run at Manchester City's defence and who could cause real issues. But obviously it never went like that because of the because of the injury, and those things happen in football. And I suppose that's something that we have to be aware of and take on the chin. But other than that, like I said, the team overall yesterday just wasn't. It just wasn't. We weren't up to scratch, and it's understandable considering the amount of games that were played. It's understandable considering obviously the teams that were played as well. Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, all in recent weeks. So it's understandable as to say that we weren't at our best. Obviously, it's a New Year's Day game anyway, so we notoriously don't turn up on New Year's Day. We didn't turn up last year against Leicester either. So, but anyway, like I said, just to review the game, I suppose that's why we're here. I'm really put off by the fact that nothing's coming up on my screen. Sorry about this. But obviously, Manchester City start the game really positively. We always knew it was going to be a game of us having very little of the ball. We always knew it was going to be a case of Manchester City, constantly having the ball and us having to A, take that off them and manage that, but B, also make the most of when we had the ball. And I just felt that a lot of the times when we had the ball, especially in that first half, and it was obviously going against what Carlo Ancelotti had informed the players. It was obviously going against what Carlo Ancelotti wanted, because he was on the sideline. He was absolutely screaming at the players yesterday. But a lot of the times when we had the ball, we were passing it back. We were going back to Jordan Pickford. We were playing it through the defence. We weren't utilising the ball for me, and we weren't getting it forward. And like I said, I feel like the players sort of felt like they may be able to play through Manchester City and may be able to get the ball through Manchester City, but it just wasn't the case, of course. It was always a game where we'd have had to go for the long ball and we'd have had to tie that tactic, because Manchester City aren't a team that you can play through. They're not a team that are going to let you dominate the midfield, and I think that was where sort of it went wrong, if I'm being perfectly honest. Yesterday, like I said, Manchester City obviously break the deadlock. It was always coming, wasn't it? It was a goal that you felt was coming for a long time. Gabriel Jesus always scores against Everton. Firstly, Phil Foden puts the ball in the back of the net. It's flagged offside, rightly so as well. It is massively offside, and it's 0-0. And I think that arguably should have acted as a little bit of a wake-up call for Everton and Carlo Ancelotti. It didn't. I feel like we should have potentially, woke up a little bit and thought, actually, these are on the attack here, and it's only a matter of time before they score. We didn't. We were still a little bit sheepish. We were still a little bit shy. We were still poor on the ball. I think the passing yesterday was quite poor for the first time in a while. I've watched an Everton team, where the passing has been quite shocking. But, nevertheless, obviously, they go down the end. They put the ball in the back of the net firstly. Have Gabriel Jesus, which at first looked like a decent finish, to be honest with you. At first, you're looking at the finish and you're thinking, you know what, that's actually not a bad finish, to be fair to you. But the more you watch it, and then here we go. It's come up now, so I can finally see myself. I can finally read the comments. Like I said, the more times you watch it, I don't know if you've seen it on the replay, I don't know if you've seen it again, but the more times you watch it, you start to question whether more can be done by Jordan Pickford, especially. Jordan Pickford gets quite a firm hand on it, and at first I was sort of looking and I thought, okay, he gets a touch on it, but it's probably been it with that much power, that much precision, that you can't really expect the goalkeeper to do an awful lot. But at second look, he gets quite a firm hand on it, and in that situation you would expect your goalkeeper to do more. You would expect your goalkeeper to at least palm that out of the way of the goal and maybe round the post, or even if it's back into danger. He doesn't. It sort of, hits his arm and goes in, and all of a sudden it's 1-0. And at that point, you do fear that, the game will start to open up an awful lot more now. You fear that, Carlo Ancelotti, a very attacking manager, a manager that's not likely to sit back and accept a defeat, whether it be 1-0 or 2-0, whatever. So you did feel like we had to come out then and we had to play and we had to break forward, and that might leave too much space and Manchester City might come back and hit us on the break again. They did literally, a matter of minutes later, 2 minutes later, Manchester City come down the other end and they make it 2-0 again. A situation where I really think Jordan Pickford should do better here. I have massive praise for Jordan Pickford against Newcastle last weekend. I thought his performance was absolutely fantastic. It was mature. It was very good. He made some good saves when he needed to. But yesterday, I just think he was beaten far too easily, to be perfectly honest with you. Again, the second goal is literally at his near post, and you shouldn't be beaten at your near post, especially in that type of situation. And he was beaten again in the second half at his near post. But luckily enough, the post come to our saviour, didn't it? Gabriel Jesus absolutely smacking it against the post, which I think was quite lucky for Jordan Pickford, because otherwise, Jesus would have made it 3. And he'd have got his hat-trick, and that would have truly been game over. So, for me, I just think Jordan Pickford could do a little bit better. I wasn't happy to see that. I wasn't happy to see him beaten, in my opinion, too easily. Again, the negative play, which really strange, listening to the commentary and seeing Carlo Ancelotti himself expressing his emotion on the sideline. I just think it's a little bit strange that a manager can give an instruction to a team and the team totally go against that instruction. Now, obviously, it is only early days, and maybe a lot of us did get a little bit too overexcited when Carlo Ancelotti come in and obviously got the win against Burnley and got the win against Newcastle. Maybe we did sort of feel like we can go on and beat sort of everybody. But I think we were brought back down to earth a little bit yesterday, and the expectation was sort of levelled out yesterday, is that we're not on the level of teams like Manchester City. We've got a massive game on Sunday against Liverpool, and hopefully with that being a Merseyside derby and with Carlo Ancelotti already beating Liverpool this season and knowing how to beat Liverpool, hopefully that gives a little bit of confidence to the team, and there's a little bit of a difference there. But it's quite clear that we're not quite on the level of the likes of Manchester City yet, and that was shown yesterday. But I would just have liked to have the team to have gone out and played by the game plan and listened a little bit more to Carlo Ancelotti, and it's very clear that whatever he'd said, they weren't following, because he wasn't happy to see it on the sideline. And obviously that changed in the second half. We did sign attack a little bit more. The over-the-top ball started to come into play a little bit more. And nobody wants to see long ball play. Nobody wants to see a team that are throwing the ball over the top and trying to score goals and win the game that way. But at the end of the day, when you're playing a side like Manchester City, you've got as much quality as Manchester City have. Sometimes you just have to do that. Sometimes you just have to throw the ball over the top. Sometimes you just have to play like that. And I think that's how we should have played the majority of the game yesterday, because in the final 15 to 20 minutes when we did play like that, it worked. But I think overall, like I said, other than the 2 goals, which I think arguably Jordan Pickford could do better with in the negative play, it really showed yesterday how the level of performances in previous weeks and over the last 4, 5, 6 games, it shows how much of a toll that's had on the team, in terms of the stamina, in terms of the fitness. The likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the likes of Richarlison, who have absolutely worked their bollocks off for the last 2 or 3 weeks, constantly, non-stop, and it shows the effect that that's had on those type of players. Richarlison, obviously he scored the goal yesterday, and absolutely fair enough to him. You can't really fault him for scoring, but he couldn't pass a ball all game. He literally, I can't remember him completing a pass. His dribbling was poor as well. Calvert-Lewin wasn't in the game an awful lot. He was getting frustrated. He was flying in with challenges, which, some people would argue should have been a red card. I personally think it was a fine challenge. You win the ball, and for me, there's nothing wrong with a challenge if you're winning the ball and you haven't hurt the opponent, whether there's an endangerment or not. It's a contact sport. If you go flying in, there's always an endangerment, isn't it? If I jump up for an header and another person jumps up, there's an endangerment there as well, but it doesn't mean it's a red card. But yeah, I just think for me it showed the effect that those games have had and those performances have had on the team and the levels that the players have been playing at. Shows that you can't play at, that level of, every single week, 3 times a week, especially over this Christmas period, because there is going to be games where you get tired, and there's going to be games where you just have to sort of grit out performances, and a game against Manchester City on New Year's Day ain't the type of game that you want that to be happening in, and it did yesterday. And like I said, the passing was poor for me. The side looked very, very tired, and that's why I think it was a massive, massive blow for Bernard to obviously to get that injury before the game had even started, because I think Bernard was a player that obviously didn't start against Newcastle, a player that would have been coming in with a little bit more fitness than everybody else, a little bit more energy. Obviously, he's only just coming back off an injury as well, so he hasn't played an awful lot of games as it is over the last month or so, so he would have been coming in with that energy, and he is a player that's very, very quick-feeted, and he would, of course, their defence and their fullbacks especially, a lot of trouble yesterday. For me, Manchester City's fullbacks and goalkeeper are their biggest sort of weakness, and I think that was what Carlo Ancelotti was looking to exploit yesterday. That's why he was quite angry to not see the over-the-top ball, because as soon as you start throwing over-the-top ball to the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he takes it down and you get a shot on target. Their goalkeeper, Claudio Bravo, was absolutely shite. He proved it yesterday for our goal. He does a mad Cruyff turn for some reason and then gives it straight back to us. Their fullbacks as well, for me, Benjamin Mendy is rocky and makes mistakes. And we should have looked to exploit that. And I think that was the game plan when having somebody like Bernard in there. It was to exploit that and to maybe utilise the pace and the technical ability and skill that we have. Obviously, Bernard got injured in the warm-up because Yerry Mina just went absolutely through him apparently, and that all changed. Tom Davies come in, couldn't think of any less of a like-for-like change than Bernard for Tom Davies. Obviously, it was with the view of Davies going into the midfield and Sigurdsson going on the wing. And I'm no, Carlo Ancelotti, I'm no tactical genius. I personally would have rather have seen Moise Keane or maybe Theo Walcott come on instead of Tom Davies, but like I said, I'm no Carlo Ancelotti. I'm not here to tell people how to do the job, especially not somebody that's won as much as Carlo Ancelotti. So I trust in every decision that he makes, as the same way as I trusted in that decision yesterday. But it didn't work. Tom, for me, has been absolutely fantastic in recent weeks, and I'm not going to sit here and go in on Tom, because I think the people that you see on Twitter and you see on social media flying in on Tom Davies one week, they're just absolutely waiting to do that. Tom Davies can have 6 really, really good games, and people are waiting for him to have a bad game so they can fly in with that he's a shite footballer, he's not good enough. Yeah, he mightn't be a world-class midfielder, he mightn't be a Premier League winning midfielder, he mightn't even be a Champions League winning midfielder, level midfielder. And yet, if we're going to be, aiming for those levels of that competition and challenging for the Premier League, then we're going to have players in and around the squad that are better than Tom Davies and that, are in the team over Tom Davies. But he is a good midfielder, he's a good footballer, and he's proved that over the recent weeks. He had a poor game yesterday. Like I said, I'll praise him when it's due, and I'll be perfectly honest when it comes to it. And he did have a poor game. He looked like a kid in a game full of adults. He looked like he was wandering around. He didn't really know what to do, and he obviously wasn't prepared to start. And I think that was the sort of story for Everton all day, was that was the most Everton thing to happen, as one of our key players and one of our most attacking players and dangerous players to get injured in the warm-up, and then the whole sort of game plan to go to shit, really. I think Sigurdsson again had another poor game for me. I think Gylfi Sigurdsson just needs to come out this Everton squad, to be honest with you. He shouldn't be anything more than a bench player, in my opinion, especially, like I said, if our aims are what Carlo Ancelotti is saying and the board are saying is to play in the Champions League and challenge for the Premier League, then Gylfi Sigurdsson simply cannot be a starter in this team, because I just don't think he's good enough, week in, week out. He has his brilliant moments, he has his brilliant games, but consistently week in, week out, I just don't think he's good enough. But none of the team were good enough yesterday. Like I said, Jordan Pickford should have done better for the goals, in my opinion. The defence were poor at times. Jibril Sidibe didn't have a great game, but again, you can't really sit in and go in on him, because he's been fantastic for the the past however many weeks. Similarly with Mason Holgate, Yerry Mina, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who didn't have his best of games either, but has been unbelievable for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I think maybe we did get a little bit too ahead of ourselves yesterday. Maybe we did think that because it's a City team that are in I wouldn't say poor form, but aren't in the best form that they've ever been in. Maybe we thought that we could go there and nick a win, or put in another top hard working proper performance, and it was obviously it become quite, we realised quite quickly in the game that the players didn't have the legs for it, and that Manchester City, even when they're not at the best, they're still a very, very good footballing side, and still for me a level above Everton. And ultimately that's why we lost the game. We didn't get embarrassed. We were poor yesterday. We were poor, and Manchester City are a team with the players, the likes of Gabriel Jesus, who always scores against them. Gabriel Jesus is in that league of players with Anthony Martial is in there, Origi from the other lot's in there, the players that Danny Ings is in there, players that you know that every time they line up against Everton, they are going to score. They can be in the worst form of their life, not scored for 4 years, and you know as soon as they line up in a game against Everton, they're going to put the ball in the back of the net, because it's, you know, they're bogey players, and Gabriel Jesus is one of them. Every single time he plays Everton, he scores, and he did yesterday, and you know, he scored 2 good goals. But like I said, we weren't embarrassed. We lost the game 2-1 at the end of the day, and in the last 15 or 20 minutes, we had Manchester City on the ropes. You know, the fans keeping hold of the ball boy taking 15 minutes to give it back to Richarlison. They were hanging on. They really were hanging on, and they were worried, and it is disappointing, because if we'd have played like the last 10-15 minutes for the first 70 minutes, I think, you know, we arguably we could have got something out of that game, but you know, we didn't, and you know, it's one defeat against the champions at the end of the day, one of the best teams in world football, and I don't think we should let it get ourselves down. We knew coming into this game 2 or 3 weeks ago, we knew looking at this game 4 or 5 weeks ago that it was always going to be tough, that it was always going to be a game that we weren't likely to get anything out of. It was important that we beat the teams that we should be beating, the likes of Burnley, the likes of Newcastle, and we did beat those teams that are on not bad form. Newcastle have only been beaten once at their home ground this season before we played them, so although we look at that fixture and we think we should be winning that, it's not an easy fixture. It's not a game that you go, yeah, you know, that's easy, that we'll go there and we'll get 3 points. Not many teams, in fact, you know, like I said, other than one team, nobody has gone to St James's Park and got 3 points this season, but we done it. We went there and we done it confidently in the second half last week. And for me, like I said, I think it's important to understand that it's not the end of the world that we're being beaten by Manchester City. The performance wasn't good enough, and we only lost by a goal when the performance wasn't good enough. It's not like we played our absolute arses off and we were unbelievable and we still were beaten. We were beaten in a game that you look at and you go, we could have been an awful lot better there. We really could have, but you know, when you're playing 2 or 3 games in a short period of time, and not just the games that we're playing, I think it's important that we, I'll get into the live comments in a minute, sorry, I understand I'm waffling, I will dive into the live comments, I'll read them all as per usual. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. Sorry about the first 5 or 10 minutes there, my computer just absolutely didn't decide to load YouTube up and load the stream up, so I couldn't see any of the comments or anything, but it's all back on now. Yeah, so please do leave a like if you're enjoying, and share this team as well on all your socials. Let's get as many people involved as per usual. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. But I think it's really important to realise that, you know, we come out, and I've come out on social media, and a lot of Evertonians have come out on social media and said, oh, you know, we're playing an awful lot of games in such a short period of time, and you know, it's affecting the squad. And you got the likes of Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp who were coming out and moaning about playing, you know, the same amount of games. And it's fair, every team plays around about the same amount of games this year. But what Pep Guardiola's failing to mention, and what other managers are failing to mention, is that Everton have got about 10, if not more, significant injuries to this squad. And when I say significant injuries, I don't mean, you know, 18, 19-year-olds that may have been seen as breaking into the first team this season, but, you know, haven't, like, them lots had to play off with Joe Gomez last year. Oh, Joe Gomez is a significant injury. He wouldn't be in the team anyway. He'd been breaking through. You know, we've got significant injuries in terms of players that will be starting every single week. Andre Gomez, who'd be in this team every week without a doubt. Jean-Philippe Gbamin, who was brought in to replace arguably our most important player. He'd be in the team week in, week out. Bernard, who started the season fantastically, has been out since October and is only just coming back into fitness. You know, Seamus Coleman, who's having to have injections. Obviously, Luca Dean, who spent time out on the injury list. We've got so many players who have been either out or are currently out. Alex Iwobi, who come in for a big money price, who arguably, okay, his last couple of games for Everton haven't been fantastic, but, you know, he's still a player that would ultimately improve the squad and would ultimately boost the squad and would be massively useful in situations like this when we're playing multiple games over such a short period of time. Theo Walcott, who's just spent 3 weeks out, Morgan Schneiderlin, who's been out as well. Again, players that you might look at and go, oh, well, they're not brilliant anyway, they're not good. It's not about the level of the player, it's not about how good they are or how good they're not. It's about the fact that we had a period of about a week or two where we played 2 or 3 games and Tom Davies was our only fit midfielder. Mason Holgate had to step in, and granted, Mason Holgate done an absolutely fantastic job in doing that. He was unbelievable when he had to step in centre midfield, but that's not the point. He is a centre back that had to step in centre midfield, and due to that we were then lacking in centre backs. We only had 2 centre backs. It would have only taken an injury to Yerry Mina or Michael Keane during that period of time, and we'd have literally have to delve into the under-23s, delve into players that haven't played in the Premier League League ever to come and play for Everton in this period where we're playing the likes of Arsenal, Chelsea, United, City, Liverpool. It's not just the fact that we're playing an awful lot of games, it's the weakness of our squad at the minute. And I seen a really good tweet yesterday that said Carlo Ancelotti is he's a fantastic manager, he's one of the best managers in world football, but he's not a miracle worker. And when you look at the sides that we've played under Carlo Ancelotti that we should have we've beaten them. You look at the side that we arguably, possibly 4 or 5 weeks ago, people would say we've had no chance against. We didn't beat them on the basis that, yes, okay, Pep Guardiola's coming out and saying, well, thanks to the Premier League for giving us 2 or 3 days off. That's great, Pep. That's absolutely fantastic, mate. But you've got Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva, David Silva, Sergio Aguero sitting on your bench who you can all rest because you've got the likes of Ilkay Gundogan, Jesus, not Juan Jesus, Gabriel Jesus, nearly said Juan Jesus then, Gabriel Jesus, bloody all sorts of world-class players that can afford to, be on the bench because you've got players that are, okay, maybe not equally as good, but definitely better than an awful lot of players that other Premier League clubs have got. So you can moan all you want about playing 2 or 3 games in a week, but every other side's playing 2 or 3 games in a week, and Everton are playing 2 or 3 games in a week with the same players because we haven't got the squad, because a lot of the squad are injured or unfit because of what is sheer bad luck at the end of the day, picking up injuries everywhere, left, right and centre. Gomez is one where the player, Son and Aurier have walked away with no suspension there, and our player is out for the rest of the season. One of arguably our most important midfielders is out for the rest of the season, and nobody is held accountable for that, and it weakens our squad massively. We haven't got a fucking Raheem Sterling or a Sergio Aguero or a Bernardo Silva to come off the bench or to rest for the next game and still have a good team. That team that played Everton yesterday and that beat Everton will beat 18 teams in the Premier League this season. 17, 18 teams in the Premier League this season comfortably. Not just Everton. That would beat Man United. That would beat, and I know City didn't beat Man United, but that team on its day would beat Man United, it would beat Arsenal, it would beat Chelsea, it would beat Tottenham, and it would beat all of the teams below them. The fact that our squad is massively weak is having a detrimental effect on us. And Carlo Ancelotti obviously has come in and he's a fantastic manager, and I honestly believe so much in Carlo Ancelotti, and I don't take anything out on him yesterday, and I don't blame him for yesterday. Yesterday was a game where you think, we got beat, we performed poorly, oh well, and what? Look forward to Sunday now. Let's go and see what we can get out of Sunday. Because if we win on Sunday, then yesterday's forgotten. Even though it's not in the Premier League, it's in the Cup, yesterday's forgotten. Ultimately forgotten anyway. The past fucking 10 years is forgotten if we win on Sunday. Because we haven't beat Liverpool at Anfield in however many years. So I think that's something you have to take into consideration as well. As not just the fact that we're playing a lot of games, but we haven't got the luxury of saying, well, yeah, we're playing a lot of games, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't playing a lot of games because so-and-so's coming in and he's playing his fair share, or, Richarlison isn't playing a lot of games because so-and-so's coming in and he's playing a lot of games. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Mason Holgate, Yerry Mina, Jordan Pickford, Jabril Sidibe, Tom Davis, Gylfi Sigurdsson, to be fair, these people are playing every single week, week in, week out without fail, because they have to play because we've got nobody else, and that's having an effect on the team. And I think yesterday we just saw that all sort of come together really, and like I said, if you don't want it to be in a game like against a team like Manchester City because it's Manchester City, but it was in a game against Manchester City, and their squad size and their quality showed, and I don't think that's anything to be embarrassed by, and I don't think it's anything to really look too much into, other than it's disappointing that we were beaten. Anyway, let's dive into the live comments. I've rambled there for nearly half an hour. What am I doing? Let's get into the live comments. Lennon AFC says, yes, Cam, thanks for the reply to my Twitter messages. No problem, mate. Up the Everton toffees as well, of course. Mike says, Happy New Year, mate. Happy New Year to you too, Mike. Jack says, we started playing well after Richie scored. Exactly. After we started to change the game plan a little bit, ball over the top, we started to realise that we're not going to get through City by, walking through them. Joe says, Happy New Year, Cam. Not the result we wanted, but the trajectory is certainly up for the coming decade. Spot on, mate. David says, Bernard was a big miss. Well done, Yerry. We looked knackered. Gylfi and Don were poor and Tom couldn't get going. Spot on. Couldn't agree, David. And he also says, not without the porn, Joe. Jack says, Don was naked. Joe says, a new stadium and a top manager helps. Spot on. Pause your shout. Eric says, we had too much respect for City and we were too defensive. Ancelotti made the mistake bringing on Davis. He should have took a wild player like Walcott. It makes you think as to why Walcott or Moise Kean didn't come on. Maybe those players weren't ready. Maybe those players weren't fit enough to start, in the game, and that's why they weren't on the starting 11. Jack says, we can't blame players yet, just tired legs. We played a lot of footy in the last few weeks. 100%, I couldn't agree. I think we'd be stupid. Well, not stupid, because obviously everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You can blame who you want for yesterday, but I think it would be very, very unfair to, massively have a go at the players for yesterday's performance and massively have a go at the manager for yesterday's performance, because like I said, we're playing with a massively weak squad. We've been fantastic in recent weeks. We were fantastic against Chelsea, fantastic against Man United, hold our own against Arsenal, really good in the second half against Leicester in the Cup, beaten Burnley, beaten Newcastle like we were asked to do, and we've been beaten by Man. We haven't gone out there yesterday and been beaten by a Bournemouth or, a West Ham or, with all due respect to the team that we should be beaten. We've gone out there and been beaten by the champions in a game that, we've had a weak squad and we're absolutely knackered in. It's just one of them where you'd have to go, disappointing, but move on. Joe says, definitely we've got injuries in the centre of the park and the players are certainly feeling the fatigue from a busy Christmas. I agree. Ziad says, hopefully we sign with Charleston. He's never going to United, mate. He's never going. Joe says, good one. David says, after Bravo lifted the skirt and showed a bit of leg, we should have peppered him. Should have peppered him all game, mate. He's a poor goalkeeper. He's proven that in weeks and weeks. And I think that was why a lot of the reasons to why Ancelotti was on their back and was on the sideline and was kicking off, because he knows what we should have been putting shots at that goalkeeper. Lennon says, no Richarlison's going anywhere near. He's our class Brazilian and he loves the toffee. Spot on. Jack says, not a red card. I agree. So do I. Lennon says, Ziad, these eyes, don't get jealous now because Lingard can't perform at Richarlison. Lingard's shocking. Jack says, get well soon, Bernard. Yeah, hopefully it's nothing too serious. Ziad says, take Lingard and Jones. We'll take Richarlison. No chance. David says, I've seen a video of Lingard performing, in quotation. Lennon says, mate, I don't get you to join an Everton theme team when you're a bit of mank. It's alright. Just don't ask to it. Joe says, I'd pay to not have Phil Jones. Shepton says, why? Mitchell says, if he wasn't a scouser, he wouldn't get a look at all, Davis. That's the problem. Maybe, fair enough. But again, at this point in the season, at this point with the weakness of the squad, it becomes sort of irrelevant if you're a fantastic footballer or if you're only a player that's there for the squad. That's why we're seeing the likes of Umani As and Kuko Martina being in the matchday squads over the last 2 or 3 weeks, because it doesn't really matter how good you are. It doesn't really matter, if you're good enough to be in a team that are challenging for the Champions League or the top 6. If you're fit, you're more than likely going to be within the squad, because we're lacking players. David says, we'll give you Nias, Martina and Sandro and Snarden back for Martial. Yeah, we'll do that. That's a fair deal. Says David, Lingard, Pereira, Matt Jones plus 5 mil for Richarlison. Now you're alright, mate. You're alright. And then says it's not just because he's a scouser. He's being played under 4 or 5 managers and they all play him. Obviously impressed with them in training. Again, and listen, Tom Davis for me is impressed in games, not just training. He's impressed over the last 4 or 5 weeks. He's been consistently good. He had a poor game yesterday, and it's important that we understand that he's had a poor game. He very well could come out on Sunday against Liverpool and have another fantastic game. David says 5 mil plus a KFC for life and I'll get it done. Ziad says, Ollie out, Everton, you can take him. No chance, mate. Samuel says, did you want Tom Davis? Should have been subbed off. Probably wasn't the best player to have been brought on, because I think it just messed with the system. Tom Davis, if it was a direct replacement for Bernard, hasn't got the pace to play on that position. Or if he was going into centre midfield and Gylfi Sigurdsson was changing, saying Gylfi Sigurdsson hasn't got the pace or the ability for me to play on the wing, especially against a side like Manchester City. Reece says, we miss Gay big time, not the same without him. Couldn't agree more, Reece. David says, totally agree, Reece. Ziad says, hit the like button, lads. Thank you very much, Ziad. Yeah, if you are enjoying the stream so far, please do hit that like button. It only takes a second. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe as well. Ian says, hindsight is easy, but perhaps Richarlison could have gone left wing for Bernard and Keane up top with Dom. Yeah, maybe, but like I said, I've got full trust in Carlo Ancelotti, and for me there was obviously a reason as to why he didn't do that, because I think a lot of us were sitting back yesterday when the news broke that Bernard wasn't going to be able to play and that it was Tom Davis going to be replacing him. I think a lot of us sat back and went, well, why isn't Walker coming on, or why isn't Keane coming on, or why isn't he just changing with Dominic Calvert-Lewin and maybe putting him on a wing or putting somebody else up front. But like I said, there was obviously a reason as to why he couldn't do that or he didn't do that. Reece says, I agree, so do I, but we'll have to wait and see. We've got to move on now, haven't we? Let's be honest. Dave says, Donald Armour in January with Werner and Rabiot. I would absolutely love that. If that happened, mate, you'd literally see me on stream here just probably crying with joy. Joe says Gomez's injury was a complete catastrophe. It was. Ziyad says Duran and Worm at Everton. You don't know. Money talks, mate. Money talks. David says same as I thought. Ian can't think of an Everton name. Says Davis is not good enough. The excuses made for him are laughable. Fair point. Fair point. Ziyad says Cam, I think Pickford isn't good enough. He needs to go. I think he should have done an awful lot better at the weekend to be not the weekend. Yesterday, to be perfectly honest with you. David says Cam, get into the live comments on disliking Redmen TV. I'm in here in the live comments. Chefton says Pickford is good with a good defence. Potentially, maybe. Ian says Reece thumbs up. Can't think of whatever name. Says Calvert-Lewin is not top class. Just he scored a few goals doesn't change his ability. Didn't say he was top class. Said the goals that he scored is, you know, I've been, some of them, the movement has been top class. He's in good form. He had one poor game yesterday, but he's in good form. I still think we need a top striker. I agree. Joe says, what position signing would you say is priority in January? A creative midfielder and a defensive midfielder, to be perfectly honest with you. I think you could say centre-back, but I'm happy with how Mina and Holgate have been performing recently. But I just think we need somebody a little bit more creative in that midfield, to be honest with you. Gylfi Sigurdsson isn't doing it this season. I think, we need to address that quickly. Ian says David thumbs up. Dosbick says, are you going to Anfield on Sunday, Cam? I'm not, unfortunately. Sid says, Cam, thoughts on the centre-back you signed from League One for 750k? Not going to lie, don't know much about him. It's really, really interesting. Is Jared Bowen his name is, I think? Something along the lines of that. But I suppose he's just a player that's going to come in. I think he's 17 years old. Is he 18 years old? He'll probably come in, go into the youth setup. And then, we'll see how he develops from there. Can't think of enough names. Says David consistently shit you mean. Fair point. That's your opinion, and that's fair. Dave says, Rojo thought he was at you lot. Ian says, thought Gylfi was anonymous. He was, again, for the 15th game this season. He's been anonymous, and it's just not good enough for me. I'll tell you, says, hello mate, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm not too bad, mate. I'm not too bad. I hope you're doing well yourself. Says, I thought we lacked intensity yesterday, but expected us to at some point due to fitness on a Sunday, though, and hopefully Bernard can be fit. Yeah, exactly. And we did lack intensity, and we did lack that battle, and we did lack that energy, and I think that was purely because of the fact that we've battled and we've had that intensity for the last 2 or 3 weeks consistently. We've played 2-3 games in a week's time, and it's important to understand that players are only human beings and they will get tired. My bigger issue wasn't that we lacked intensity or that we lacked energy, because that's understandable. It was more that when we had the ball, we just didn't do an awful lot with it. We could have utilised the ball a lot more, in my opinion. It could have been used to go over the top. We should have been hitting it at Dominic Calvert-Lewin and using him to take the ball down and pass it on to the likes of Richarlison, who could run off players, and maybe even Gylfi Sigurdsson or Jibril Sidibe, obviously, who started the game in a further role. That was more my issue, not the fact that we didn't really have the intensity, because I understand that. Obviously, that's something that needs to come back. Definitely for Sunday, because we're going to need it for Sunday. But for me, it was more when we were having the ball and we were sort of passing it back to Jordan Pickford and we were messing about with it defensively. I just thought, in a game against Manchester City, the expectation is that they have the ball 80% of the time. You defend when they have the ball, and when you have the ball, you make something, you make opportunities, you make chances, you work the goalkeeper who is poor, you work the defence who have been on poor form, and I just don't think we've done enough of that yesterday, to be honest with you. Reece says, would have given Beningame a chance, potentially will give Beningame a chance. I dare say he hasn't seen an awful lot of Benny Beningame, to be fair. Arteta says, also made thoughts on Sigurdsson and whether he'll be around the summer. If he doesn't pick up his performances, and by that I mean starting on Sunday, if he plays on Sunday and has a fantastic game from Sunday until the end of the season, I think maybe it is time to sell him. David says, not with that gash on his calf. Beningame is also injured. He has been injured, and hopefully Bernard's gash is stitched up and is, I don't know, maybe I'm being a bit optimistic to say he'd be able to play on Sunday, but hopefully. Ziad says, favourite singer, Cam, and favourite song? Don't know, to be honest. Tough at the minute. Quite like Stormzy. I like JME's new album. I'm into rap, to be honest with you. Rap and grime and all that. I really do like JME's new album, so I'll probably go but at the minute, I'll probably go Stormzy. Rachel's Little Brother is a song on his new album I quite like. Sonny says, need somebody to replace Guy, like Rabiot or James Rodriguez, to replace Gylfi, because Gylfi is poor. Yeah, we'll see. Obviously we've been linked with Rabiot today. We've been linked with James Rodriguez over the last week, so we'll see how strong those rumours are and if there's anything really in them. Tammy Abraham CFC says, just like London, your city is blue. It is. and hopefully will be after Sunday. Dave says United fans always at the wheel. Arteta says Calvert-Lewin is good enough, people are just putting him down. You won't see these same people calling out Dean for being horrific in 90% of the games this season. Luca Dean's been poor as well, to be fair. I agree. I mean, Luca Dean, in my opinion, is injured and is playing with an injury and has been playing with an injury since he got the injury 4 or 5 weeks ago. But, granted, he has been poor this season, and he had a great season last season. And when you're playing with an injury, it's hard to maintain them level of performances. Obviously, Leighton Baines, when he had to step in, has stepped in and done fantastically well. But I just question as to whether maybe Luca Dean's been brought in a little bit too early. Colin Gunnar names says Gylfi gets scapegoated heavily, shit, but still no need to scapegoat him when there's a load of poor players on the pitch. I actually agree, to be honest. He was poor, and he has been poor this season, but so have other players, and that's why I'm not sitting here just ranting about Gylfi Sigurdsson from yesterday, because I think Tom Davies had an equally a poor game, Shadibi had an equally a poor game, Calvert-Lewin had equally as poor game. Conley Name says he doesn't choose to play. Ziad says David Collins, Ancelotti is a good manager, I'll admit. I'm a bit jealous, but he needs backing, which he won't get. I think he will get backing, but I agree with you, he does need backing. David says technically he actually does. Ian says Arteta, I've said Dean has been disappointing this season. He hasn't been as good as he was last season, but again, I personally think he's playing with an injury. Then says I hate the way comments are already calling the new signing Mina. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. Just ignore it. David says he will be Ziad. Tammy says good luck. Everton, Don Carlo is adored by all CFC fans. Hopefully he'll finish above Arsenal. I hope so too, mate. I hope so too. Thank you very much. Good luck to you. Can't think of enough says I like you, Cam, but don't agree with your opinions on some players like DCL and Davis. Fair play. That's what it's all about, isn't it? It's all about opinions, mate, and your opinions is worth worth as much as mine, and that's what it's all about. He also says up the effing toffees, though. Spot on, mate. Spot on. I think one thing's for sure is that we're all just hoping for the very best year for Everton, and we're all hoping for a win on Sunday. Let's be perfectly honest, regardless of who plays and who scores. Well, hopefully there is goal scorers. Ziad says not enough. He needs a better defence, goalkeeper, midfield, and winger. Well, we'll have to wait and see, won't we? Arteta when he says saw a lot of people saying Bernard will be fit for Sunday. I hope so, but I'm not 100% confident, to be honest. Dodger says Gylfi would need to take more responsibility. He's 30 a season pro. Would need to take a game by the scruff of the neck. Yeah, but he's anonymous quite all of the time. Hard to disagree with that. Ian says Ziad, he wouldn't come if there's no money to spend. I agree with that, spot on. Arteta when he says I have to blame Pickford for the goals yesterday as well as Holgate for the first one, because it was stupid defending and even more stupid goalkeeping. I agree. Kevin Mill says was disappointing. Davis was almost on, to be honest with you. He was very slow and gave almost every ball away. Not even good enough in his good games. Even in his good games, he's not a player who's getting us in the top 4, so can't see him playing next year. Maybe. Fair point. It'd be interesting to see how Carlo Ancelotti sees Tom Davis' recent performances. He says Ancelotti's getting paid 11 million a year. David says up the effing toffees, Colin Chong, spot on. Can't think of another name. Says DNA is injured. Why not play Baines? Baines is still quality to. Still, I agree, spot on. Jack says, would you consider giving Lossell a league game just to see how he gets on? It would be a risk. Lossell hasn't even been on the bench. Stecklenberg's been the keeper for the last 6 weeks since Duncan Ferguson's come in, so I'm not too sure what's happened to Lossell, to be honest with you. Arteta says, mate, I'd give me dad a going over Pickford recently. A massive Virgin says, back in sport, Everton. Up the Hornets. Madness, but yeah, whatever. Chet says Ollie to Everton, no chance. God says DCL has really showed his passion for the club recently with his effort and the goals he scored. I agree. Lennon says, come on lads, hit the like button, all 47 people right now. Yeah, if you got the like button, that mean a massive amount to me. Can't think of anything says he hasn't been on drugs. Arteta says, like with the Ollie shouts, it's just a lot of the shite. Matthew says, Cam, you see Davis being in our long-term squad, maybe in the long-term squad. Whether he'll be in the long-term starting 11, I don't know. Conley says Richie was poor yesterday but still our best player. I agree. And Arteta when he says Lee Tai, yes, he's been named the manager of China today, so very big congratulations to Lee Tai. And Conley says Pickford was shocking. He definitely was yesterday. But yeah, like I said, listen, I think a massive virgin, that is exactly what you are, and you're getting removed, fella. I just don't understand why, just come on and start throwing stuff. You just literally said you're a Watford fan and you're coming on talking about Liverpool. Don't get it. But anyway, yeah, listen, yesterday was disappointing. Obviously it was disappointing, and it's important that we understand it was disappointing, and it's important that we accept that, and we understand that we're disappointed at a 2-1 loss to the champions away from home. I think that's a nice feeling in itself, is the fact that we've lost 2-1 away from home after having a good final 20 minutes and we're still saying we should have been better. We should have been a lot better. And for me, that's something that we're just going to have to work on. I don't think we should go at the players. I don't think we should go at Ancelotti. It's just the case of that we ran out of steam a little bit yesterday. We weren't fit enough to keep up. We didn't have the stamina. And like I said at the start of the season, we simply haven't got the squad to keep up with the likes of a Manchester City at this time of the year. If we played them maybe in March, if we played them maybe in September or October or even November, potentially could have given them a bit more of a game, especially with Carlo Ancelotti as manager and with the momentum that we had. But at this time of year, we just haven't got the squad, and it showed yesterday with the fitness. But, sorry, it's important now for the lads to get their heads up, look forward to Sunday, and look forward to getting fit enough for Sunday, getting the stamina back and going in and putting in a real good, gritty, hard-working performance. We can't have another performance like that yesterday where, we're slow and we're tired and we're a little bit out of energy and we're a little bit out of steam. We need to be putting in an absolutely top performance on Sunday and going out and giving them a beating, because it's a Merseyside derby and we can't afford to be low in steam and in energy, because Liverpool will take advantage of that exactly like Manchester City did. So, big game on Sunday. It's important that we look forward to that now and don't pay too much attention to what happened yesterday. We lost away from home against the champions in a game that we looked quite tired in and quite poor, and it's important that Carlo Ancelotti, obviously, like I said, the name of the live team, the title of the live team is Shy Blues. Carlo Ancelotti said that Everton seemed shy at times yesterday, and he was only really impressed basically by the last 20 minutes. So it's important that message is relayed to the players, and that we go and put in a much better performance on Sunday and hopefully get a better result as well. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live team. I'll get back in the live comments before we go, obviously. Can't think of anything. Says this chat has Chelsea, United, Liverpool fans in it. It does. He's never coming to Everton, and I would never take him. We've got one of the best managers in the world at the minute. Why would we want a PE teacher in Solskjaer? To the says, who is Colin Chong? I think he's the leading stadium development officer, or he's worked within the stadium, the new development of the Bramley-Moore Stadium. Arteta when he says, "Ha lad, watch your game here." I assume he talked to the Leicester fan. Arteta when he says, "Lovely timey, he's probably my idol. What a man, what a man." Dogby says, "Cam, is your wardrobe full of Everton gear?" It's not. I just have an awful lot of it, to be honest with you. Christmas isn't that. When you do a YouTube channel and when you've got a channel that's the present in it for Christmas and stuff and birthdays, is just Everton gear. And I really appreciate every single bit of it, because I'm always wearing it, and obviously I'm always here wearing Everton gear, going the match wearing Everton gear as well, training in Everton gear, playing footy in Everton gear, so you can never have enough, can you? I think enough nice is fucking virgin. It's Watford fans. Arteta says, made millions off doing nothing. What a guy. Tammy Abraham CFC says, Watford fans are so bitter. Worst fans in England, hands down. Let's not get into that argument. They're irrelevant, aren't they? Watford had to copy our walkout music. Says, can't think of a name. Who are Watford? Ian says, anyone know when Watford started running out of Z cars? I'm not too sure, mate. I'll give you that shout out there. Can't think of an name. Says, follow my Twitter blues, Kieran EFC96_. There you go. Arteta says, sometime after Elton John got in, I think Ian, mate. David says, yesterday, Ian. Can't think of anything else. Up the F and Toffees. Gord says, one of the former Watford managers wanted to also walk out to Z cars, and they started on a winning run, so that's when they started walking out to Z cars. Didn't know that, fair enough. And then it says, let's show the red side who we are. Exactly, spot on. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to me. If you're new to the channel as well, please do subscribe. It only takes a second. We'll be live tomorrow, again at 5:30 PM for the live game preview to the Merseyside derby, of course. FA Cup. Third round, is it? I think Merseyside derby on Sunday at Anfield. 1 minute past 4 kickoff. Why it's a 1 minute past 4 kickoff, I don't know. But we'll be live at 5:30 PM tomorrow with a live game preview to that. So don't forget to join us. Get involved in the live comments. I'll have my predicted starting 11, and we'll be talking about how I believe Carlo Ancelotti should line up for this game and how we can get at Liverpool and really give them a game. As you know, we currently are managed by the only manager who's managed to beat Liverpool this season. So that is a positive in itself. Anyway, a big thanks for watching. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed today's stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. It only takes a second, and I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to go and follow us on Twitter at MightyBluesYT as well to keep up to date with all of the latest Everton information and news. Where are we? Arteta Money says, so you're an Arsenal fan TV as well, Cam. It's hard to join into a debate. Ancelotti gets my vote. Exactly, spot on. Paul says, hi Cam, can you tell me if we finish 7th? Because I bet me red check made 20 quid and I ain't losing. I'm going to say yeah for your sake, but I don't know. Kev Mal says, got a load of medium men's Everton training gear if it's any good to anyone or team for training. I'll pass the message on. Thank you very much for that. I I wear small because I'm absolutely tiny, but I'll pass the message on. Alex says, yes, Cam. Gord says, up the F and Toffees. Can't think of enough names. Says, in a bit, Cam. See you later, mate. Ian says, mental health awareness, bud. Obviously be aware of mental health. Anybody who's struggling with mental health, by the way, I just want to take a second to say this. I know Network Michael D made a video on mental health, and if anybody is struggling with any mental health, I know from personal experience that it can be the hardest thing in the world to speak out. It can be the hardest thing in the world to talk, and to get it off your chest. But I promise you, it is the best thing to do. As soon as you talk about it, as soon as you seek help from people, you will feel an awful lot better. So like I said, my DMs are always open on Twitter. I don't know if they're open or you can request to send a message, but if you request to send a message to me, if I don't follow you or you don't follow me, I'll always check it, and I'll always have a conversation with you, even if it's just to talk about Everton, to talk about yourself, to talk about any interest that you like, music, films, any other sport. I'm always here to talk to you. So drop me a message on Twitter, private message on Twitter, if anybody is struggling and you just need somebody to talk to, and I'm always here to talk. And I know Network Michael D is also here, and John Maguire, who's on his channel as well. So if you don't want to talk to me, there's other people there as well. And if you want to put it on Twitter, if you put that you're struggling on Twitter, then literally everybody will I'll message you and make sure you're okay, and be able to talk to you privately as well. Good Soul says, later the stream, Cam, I'll watch later. Thank you very much, really do appreciate that. It's a minute for mental health awareness. David says, yes, Kev, and David also says, message me on Facebook. So there you go, Kev's there as well for messages. Haiti says, got decent defenders in your team and a good DM, and Cam, your team will be decent. I agree, spot on. Kev says, David will do, mate. Joe says, great team, Cam, great sentiment with the mental health awareness. Thank you very much. Of course, literally, like I said, just message me, message anybody. Speaking out is the hardest step, but you'll feel so much better. It gets easier from there. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. Please do hit that like button if you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Like I said, join me at 5:30 PM tomorrow for the live game preview to the Merseyside derby on Sunday. Be a really, really interesting one. Big thanks for watching. Up the Toffees, up Ancelotti. Positive mental attitude going forward. Yeah, it's one defeat yesterday. Let's forget about it and look forward. Up the Blues, up Carlo Ancelotti's Toffees. Come on, you Blues.